What's up, guys? I'm Zapper. A lot of you guys might know me as the Immortal 3 Yapper, but today I'm making a video on how to play Reyna on Ascent. I feel like recently people are starting to realize that their game sense and their awareness of the game and their understanding of good strategies and bad strategies is actually what's holding them back. And in order to really get past that hurdle, they need to start learning what good play is and they need to start implementing it into their game. And I think people are starting to understand that more as a community as a whole with all the new coaches going around. And so I wanted to give you guys a in-depth look on Ascent. I specifically play Reyna. I play at the Immortal 3 level consistently. I have been going through a slump recently, but I've been bouncing back and I feel like I'm playing smarter than ever. And so really what this video is I'm going to teach you guys how I play Reyna on Ascent. This playstyle works in High Immortal, and if it works here, I'm sure it will work in your games as well. And if you simply just try to replicate what I'm talking to you about here, you're definitely going to find some pretty good results in your games. My aim isn't bad, and I'll admit that, but regardless, if you're doing what I'm saying here, if you're playing in smart ways and playing correctly, you will see results. It's just going to be a chill video. Feel free to click in and out as you please. I'm just trying to cover all the info you might need on Ascent. This video isn't made to be watched in one sitting. You can definitely just leave it up and click through when you have the time. Regardless, the things you learn here will help you in your games, and I'm planning to cover other maps as well if you guys like this type of content. Sorry if my voice sounded a little raspy. My throat was so dry, I just got a cough drop though. I'll try not to play with it too much so it doesn't bother you guys. I just want to give you guys the basics at the very least and give you like the foundational building blocks to like craft your own gameplay and to figure out strategy that works for you. So let's go and hit all the basics really quick. We got 4 parts of the map. We got B main, we got lower mid, we got upper mid, and we got A main. On A, the main places you're going to use your flashes. You're going to flash close. This clears out the common angles. If your Sova's guarding or droning, you don't need to flash this because he will have the info for you. You can save that flash. After you have a main, you want to flash to get your team out sight. If you have a second flash, you should either flash your team out again if they haven't got out, or save it for later. You could fall back main during the post plant. Use your flash on the post plant. You could use your flash to stall them if they're coming out. This would be a really shitty play, but you could even flash yourself up heaven and fight these guys. I would never do that. That's horrible. But a better play is to crouch on this box, wait for your team to make contact, wait for these guys to be shooting at your team, in other words, and then as they're shooting at your team, you can jump up. Easy kills. You can dismiss out. You're playing Reyna. Because of your dismiss, I like playing super forward positions. If this is smoked off, I'll literally come up here and wait for them to push out the smoke. If they push out the smoke, you can literally kill them for free and dismiss back to your team. If you have numbers, I would not play up here because that's bad. You're giving them a chance to kill you for free. Instead, I would either play hell, I would play in this box like I said and play off contact. I would play over here so we know when they're dropping out heaven. You could play here and like jiggle these guys. Or you could tuck here. This is not very good because you have to fight heaven, so I tuck there. Or you could play main on either side. This is, they're equally good just depending on what you want to play. You just fight different angles for the retake, for post plant. But yeah, you only have 2 fucking abilities, so just flash yourself in, name in, flash your team outside. You should be playing second entry, so let the jet dash out. You want to flash with the dash. Your flash should be coming out at the same time as the silver dart, same time as the jet dash, same time as the smokes. Smokes are here and here if you don't know. And you just want to time your utility with your team's utility. Bada bing, bada boom. Flash here, super easy. I like to play forward positions, but you can play defensive ones too. Both of it works. This can be a good angle. This can be a good angle. You can hide here, play off contact. There are a million different angles that can work. Just use your own judgment. Don't play some stupid angle. If they're coming 5 heaven, maybe don't come up here. You're going to get killed. They're going to flash out and you're going to die. If they're splitting here, maybe don't play in the open where you can just die from here. Maybe play over here. You got to tweak it depending on the circumstance, and you need to use your own judgment to learn for yourself a little bit and figure out making sure you're doing the right thing. The small tweaks aren't that hard. It's just sometimes people fail to recognize that they need to happen. They'll watch their favorite streamer, their favorite coach, tell them to do one thing, and they'll do that thing always, even if there are situations where it's better to do something else. You just need to recognize when something's not working for you and be able to make the small tweaks to fix it so that it can work for you. We're coming to top mid. Let's go. Flash out top mid, and then I'd flash out here. Let me show you the exact spots to make it simple for you guys. You flash out. It can help you take this space. Usually this is smoked off. Usually this is smoked off. And your other teammates have utility too, so you have to lean on them a little bit. If they're not helping you, I'll tell you how to win the game anyways. But that's coming later. This is usually smoked, so you want to flash your team out here. From here, they can play pretty much anywhere. But you want to get bombed down. You want to take the space. As Reyna, you want to control the space. Make sure they're not main. Go hell. Get on the box. Same post plant. Just came in from a different angle. Sometimes, if I'm feeling crazy, I'll come in the smoke. If I think they're close, I will not do this. So that's why you got to use your judgment. Sometimes this is good. If I don't think they're here, I can come up here, get an off angle, and dismiss out. Or if they let me, I can come up here and flank them. But you have to use your judgment because there are some situations where doing this is just suicide and you're giving them an advantage for free, for no reason. If you're playing from bot mid, you want to flash out here. Then your second flash, like always, you want to save it for sight. Boom, flash out. Your team should help you get through here. And then you want to fight for sight. You're playing Reyna. You got to clear all the hard angles. You want to come back, clear everything. Make sure there's no one there so you can play post plant. Then for post plant, I usually like to jump up here, come up here, fight this drop. It's pretty free. Or if you think you have a timing, you can come around and fight with your team, dismiss out. What good play is pretty simple. And good strategy is pretty simple. The only thing that makes it difficult are the small tweaks. And the small tweaks are the things that you can't really be taught. It's the type of thing that you have to do in the moment, and you kind of have to learn to do for yourself a little bit. If you're making this play, let me give you an example. Let's say you're making this play. It's post plant. You're coming up here, you're coming over here, and you're holding for this drop. Well, imagine someone's coming close right here, and they wide swing you. You're gonna die. You're holding for this guy, and someone's peeked way out here. You're going to lose that fight. And so you need to use your judgment a little bit. If they could be all the way out here, I would not be holding for the logs drop. I would come back here, wait for them to make noise swinging, and then peek them. Or do a jiggle, fall back, and play with my team. Or if they're taking a while to clear over there, I might even come hold this for the stairs guy who I hear running out. And so a lot of this stuff is situational. It's important to understand the basics of what good play looks like. And then you need to be able to use your own judgment to apply it to your own game and figure out what exactly works for you, like the specifics. It's even how you learn good aim as well. Let's say we're flicking to this orb right here. Flick. Oh, I'm off. But it's not helpful to just be like, oh, I missed. What's helpful is understanding how you missed. I flicked. That time I was on target, but I shot early. You need to know the specifics. And so you can tweak the specifics. Shot early again. So if I wait a second, delay my shot, now I'm hitting it every time. I mean, if you don't know the specifics, like oh, I missed. Oh, I missed. Oh, I missed. You have to be able to... I heard this in another YouTube video. You gotta autodidact a little bit, right? It basically just means being able to learn for yourself. That's like the basic definition. But B main is exactly the same as everywhere else. You want to flash to take control of the original space. The reason you do this is this initial space is super important. If you can take control of the opening zones, it makes the rest of the game way easier because you have more control over the map than your enemy. And then your second flash, you either flash your team out here, or sometimes the jet will have you flash them out lane. Usually when you're coming out sight, you want it to be high to blind as many people as possible. If you're flashing for yourself, let's say you think he's over here, well, you want to isolate this flash. Maybe flash low and over here. And then you can peek close. They have to shoot this. You can kill them for free. It's important that you use your flashes correctly because you only have 2 abilities to help you get a kill so that you can use the rest of your kit. When you're taking B, those are the 2 main flashes. Someone needs to close this door. Usually it's going to be Jet. If I have a lot of teammates going lane already, I'll walk up here and try to get the pick on this guy who's often going to peek. The defenders usually peek this. They're usually like, boom, 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 I'm going to kill you. But if you're walked up here, oh, you're dead. If no one peeks me, I'll come over here, play this angle. These people coming out have to look both ways. So it's a very strong angle. This angle is also really strong. This angle can be good too. Sometimes tucking can be good. They're both pretty good. The strong angle to hold because it's a 50-50. Unless they're going to flash you, I definitely tuck. I never play this angle because if they come market, you're fucked. But if they're definitely not market, this can be a really strong angle. If you're the sight player, I mean, I already covered this spot. You can play that for post plant too. But if you're playing sight, this side is much stronger than the other side. It's because you can fight stairs safer. You can fight backside with off angles. You can peek this guy if you want. You can timing people. You can do everything. You can tuck. But this is a little riskier. This is only good if they're coming lane and nobody stairs. But if you're playing this side, you either fight this off angle or nobody's lane and you're fighting here. But if you're playing backside, you usually want to stay alive. The backside player is the final hold. If everyone else dies, you need to be the one who pulls down the clock and clutches up. That's the backside player's job. You can jiggle to help stall for your team, make noise, but you don't want to die taking these fights. You want to survive because you're playing post plant now. Some people play this angle. I don't really like it, but it can work. You're exposed to here too. Just be careful. All right, really quick, I want to cover what to do if your team isn't performing well or they're not really listening. You either want to play lurker. It's best to play mid. That way you can rotate in to help if they need you. Or you want to start baiting your team, which I know sounds bad, but sometimes it's what you need to do to win. Basically, instead of just running out first for your team, you want to make sure you're waiting for your team to drop their util, and then maybe let 1 or 2 players go out before you. That way they can find out where the enemy is playing. If they run out, find out there's a player here, you can easily peek out, help them. You're not baiting them just so they can die. It's more recognizing that they're not really performing up to the standard at this moment and capitalizing off of what you can. If they're going to be dying anyways, you might as well let them get info to give yourself a fighting chance. And then if you are the lurker, I would just play it really, really slow. Wait for opportunities to arise. Maybe you hear them rotating and then you peek out. Or you wait for your team to make enough noise to like pull people in so you can get a flank off behind them. The key to being the lurker on Reyna is to play really, really slow and making sure you can guarantee at least 1 kill. Because after you get that first one, you can potentially open up the map. And you can use your dismiss to fall back too. So it's really strong. Alright, now that we got the basics out of the way for offense, we're going to jump right into the defensive side. This is where things get really interesting for Reyna. And I feel like even though she's a duelist, she actually thrives more on defense than she does on offense. And I'll be getting into why that is. But more importantly, I'll be showing you guys exactly what I like to do on defense and how I like to make plays happen, how I like to make her kit work for the team, and how I like to close out rounds and ultimately win games. So yeah, let's get right into it. Similar to offense, I'm going to be covering different areas of the map that you will typically play. You either start on B site, you start on lower mid, you can either play from market or from here, or you can push out, but I'll be covering all of those later. You can also play from cat, or you can call it upper mid, whatever you want. I'll be covering all the different scenarios here. And then finally, you can play on A site. And so, already hinting at it, but there's different ways to play each of them. You can play each in several different ways. And it's good to utilize all of them in any given match just so you can stay unpredictable. And then before I get into the nitty gritty stuff, I just want to say I think Reyna works best on bottom mid or on cat. And I'll be either playing bottom mid or cat roughly 80 to 90% of the time, purely because it allows you to have the most impact as Reyna. You can quickly help on the A fight. You can fight mid if you need the space, and your rotation is going to be faster as opposed to playing in A main or B main. So let's start things off on B site. What would I do if I was playing Reyna on B site Ascent? First of all, Reyna has dismiss. So you'll see a lot of Reynas come over here and hold this off angle. This is a free kill if they don't use any utility. Players have started catching on, so you'll usually see Omen Flash here, Sova Drone, Sova Dart, somewhere, doesn't matter where. But they'll usually use utility to clear you out. If they're not doing that, I would definitely play this off angle for free kills. I haven't played low elo in a while, but I'm assuming it's more likely they don't do this in low elo as compared to higher elo. If they're doing that, don't play there. If anything, jiggle to show presence and then fall back. You can play here or over here as Reyna because of your dismiss. On other agents, this might not be so good, but because you're on Reyna, you can get timings and peek out, use your dismiss, or you can just wait for them to come out and they have to gamble because it is a 50-50 for them. They have to pick one to choose. If you're playing on this side specifically, be careful of this start right here. It will get you killed. A more consistent angle to play if you have to play B site would be from stairs. You can jiggle the people coming out trying to get logs. You can fight the people coming out B main. It's usually going to be smoked off, so you will have an advantage. You just want to be careful of the utility coming out, because on a hit, they're going to use utility. They'll use a dart. They'll use a drone. They'll flash out of the smoke. And you want to be able to avoid these and work a pick. Try to get your dismiss off. You can dismiss back out, play retake. Or if you have someone backside, you can get a pick, maybe help fight lane, maybe come over here, stay alive. You want to make sure that you have options so that if anything weird happens, you can stay alive and buy time for your team to rotate in. Like I said, I usually wouldn't play Reyna on B site because this is a better site for someone like Cypher. Instead, I like to retake from spawn, usually. If it gets smoked off and your team's fighting, it's good to flash out and peek to fight with them. Sometimes it's better to do this without a flash in order to catch enemies off guard. Alright, I'll be getting more into post plan a little bit later, but let's talk about market. Usually for market, if they're hitting B, I like to play in this smoke right here. Sometimes the enemy will push up and you can get a free kill, but usually it's good to play here so you can flash out and help your team. It's important to do this if they're playing lane or if they're fighting from stairs. Sometimes if they're already out and they're taking site pretty easily, it's better to just stay in market and wait for your team to play retake. Sometimes they have just too much firepower, too much utility, and you can't take this fight without dying, and it's just better to play your life so that you can help your team later in the round. Another thing I like to do mid, this one I do a little bit less because it's a little more risky, is to push out bottom mid at the round start. You can come over to this off angle, and then if they dry peek you, it's a pretty easy kill. You can just dismiss back and come back to market. I wouldn't do this all the time. It's better to do this unpredictably maybe only like 1 to 2 times in an entire match. You can also come over here. This one's just a little bit harder unless they're smoking this off for you and trying to fight mid with you as a team. I almost never play pizza. It's kind of just a bad spot to play. And then this is my favorite spot to play if I want to play hard rotate or quick rotate. Primarily do this if I'm not sure where the enemy's going to go and if they're playing around mid a lot. If they're playing around lower mid. If they're playing cat, I'll usually play cat. But from this angle, you can take little duels on players who are walking up. You can spot for the mid cross, and usually if you see enemies cross mid, they're probably going to go cat to A, in which you can rotate over very quickly. Or you can catch players walking up here. I mean, it's very telling. If they've walked past this pillar, they're usually trying to go for a B split. So if you spot that, you can instantly fall back, maybe come over and jump spots, see if they push up farther. And this gives your team time to rotate in to help you. If you know early that they're going A, or if you know early that they're going B, you can tell your team that, and then you can all rotate in, and you'll just have more numbers on site for their take, or for an early retake. Either way, this is going to help you convert more rounds, and you'll definitely see your win rate increase if you're playing fast rotator from mid. That being said though, I actually enjoy playing cat even more on Reyna, and it's specifically because of this area right here. If you don't know this already, at round start, if you have your knife out, you can cross without getting spotted. On most agents, playing over here is really risky, but on Reyna, there are so many off angles you can play. You can play so many. You can jump up here, you can do a lot. And if you're able to get that pick, dismiss out, come back over here. You can play another off angle. You could come up here. You could play this off angle up here. You could drop down. But if I don't want to make any risky plays, maybe it's a really close match and I want to play safe, this is my favorite spot to play. Like right around here. You can jiggle peek cat. You can jiggle peek the off angle. And people always cross. So if they're coming up, you will see them cross. I've never seen someone walk this way. So this is really good for spotting if they're coming up cat safely. From here, they'll usually smoke you off. You can either peek out on a timing, let them cross, peek out on a timing, or you can fall back, especially if they're running to run you down. It's best to fall back and play this angle over here. You can play some off angles, usually get a pick, and then retake becomes a lot easier afterwards. I will say if you're going to peek out of here, just do it cautiously, because if you do it in bad situations, you might peek out looking this way just to get killed by a late cat lurk, and then you're dying for free and retake's going to be a lot harder. Where if you just fell back, didn't make the risky play, maybe came up heaven, flashed out on their push, and then fought, maybe dismissed back, you're going to have way higher odds of winning the round. So this is a risky play, and I would usually only do it if we're down numbers and want to get back in the match. As for aggressive cat plays, I like to jump peek this. If I don't see anything in like the first 5 seconds, then maybe I'll push out, maybe I'll get some info on cat, and then you can either push out cat here, come over here, break the KJ turret. Pushing past here is a little bit risky because they might have a cat lurk, or they might come back from B main, depending on where they're at. It just depends. But if I know they're 5-man rushing, I will flank either side. I don't really care. This fight is kind of hard, but sometimes you can have some luck by holding it. You kind of just need to get a feel for it, for what good crosshair placement is for you. It really depends on like how fast your reactions are. So this one's a little more risky. I don't do it as often. Similar to bottom mid, I like to play fast rotate from here as well. If I'm playing the safer angle, I'd say this is where I play cat from like 90% of the time, by the way. But if they have info B, I'll usually rotate right away. But my favorite thing to do if they're hitting A, I'll usually play in this smoke right here. They'll usually smoke this off. And then from here, a few things happen. Sometimes you'll get a Sova dart, in which you can just spam the enemy through the smoke, super free. Sometimes you'll hear the enemy run up here, And since you're on Reyna, you can peek out, kill him while he's looking heaven, and dismiss back. You have to be careful though, because sometimes this guy is aware that you might push out of this. So keep that in mind. If you've died to someone while peeking out of the smoke, maybe don't do it again. But my favorite is when their whole team runs out here, no one comes to door, or they come over here to door. You can definitely peek out and you'll be behind like 2-3 enemies, not even looking at you. And you can get free kills, and it's low risk because you can dismiss back because you're playing Reyna. It's really good to do this if you have someone playing on site or someone fighting heaven, because they'll draw the attention up there, giving you an opportunity to peek out and kill the enemies from behind. Essentially, you got them in a crunch. If I think there's too many enemies and I can't push out and successfully get one and get out, I'll just play back and wait for retake. I'll break this door early just to make it easier for us. That is the basics of top mid or cat or whatever you want to call that spot. As for playing A, as I said, I usually don't play A site on Reyna, but sometimes, maybe like once a match, I like to go wide here. You usually want to have a one-way or some kind of teammate to help you out, because if you get flash or util dumped, this off angle is going to be really bad. So just be careful playing there. I do sometimes like to play here for early info. I usually don't like to commit to a fight here because they usually have a lot of enemies. But I will play info, maybe go for a jiggle. If there's a lot, I'll fall back, maybe close door, and then break it right away so they don't have it when they're pushing. Do something like that. Or I'll get the info, I'll come back gen, or sometimes, honestly, I'll even start gen, start dice. Very rarely, I'll go hell just to surprise the enemy, but that's like 1 in 50 times, honestly. But yeah, from here, if they're playing slow, you can jump spot without making any noise. Dice is a really strong angle for Reyna. You can play this off angle. It's pretty strong. You can play, honestly, people won't be looking at you here. You can hold this. I like to peek out though when they're pushing, and try to get some timing, play around the box to avoid their line of sight, just to buy time for my team. Honestly though, I love playing in this smoke as Reyna on this map, because while they're coming out, you can wait for your team's contact or wait for their util, whatever you want to do. But usually if you flash out of the smoke and peek wide, you have enough time to get one and dismiss out, which you can instantly make it a 5v4 before your retake, which gives you really high odds in winning the round. Sometimes I've found luck in just dry peeking without a flash, just to catch enemies off guard. This one's definitely more risky, especially if they're holding you. But yeah, for the retake, flash out the smoke, do all this. If it's a late round retake, it's gonna be harder. But yeah, it's gonna be a little more niche. But you want to clear your angles. So let's say you're coming in late round, it's like 3v3, and you do have a flash. It is good to flash out here, and you want to clear the initial angles. I'll just show you like how I would usually go about it. I'll usually come here, flash out, clear these angles. Be careful with main. Sometimes you'll see someone over here, and then you want to be careful in case someone's playing here. Usually you'll have people coming out tree too. If you do, it's going to be a lot easier because they'll spot the gen guy for you. But sometimes you'll see a guy here. If there is someone gen, you want to wait to push out further and try to get this pick first. Because if you go too far, you're going to expose yourself to multiple enemies at the same time. In 1v1s, it's usually really good to jump on top of this, especially if they're playing gen, because it's hard for them to look up. Plus it makes very little noise as opposed to dropping down. But in this scenario, it's like a 3v3 or whatever. So you clear your angles. You want to drop down where it's safest, over here. Start clearing hell. Plus this gives you cover for main. They're going to play like off angle here if they're in it. So you got to be careful. Once that's clear, you can help your team come over to gen, make sure it's clear. Get on bomb. Maybe you guys have a smoke here, maybe you don't. But once you're on bomb, they're going to start peeking you. Maybe they'll have lineups. Maybe they'll use their util. And then up to there, it's kind of just end round, you doing your best to outplay your opponent. There's not like a specific thing that works here. It's more rock, paper, scissors. Just mind games, you know, trying to outplay your opponent. That being said, let's go see what the B site retake is like. I will say a lot of what I'm saying here applies to most maps. At this point, I've talked about fighting a retake with a flash out the smoke and a peek from both tree and from heaven. I briefly touched up on doing that for B side as well. You get smoked off, you flash out to fight with your team. So this can be applied to a lot of maps. If you're playing retake on a lot of different maps, this works. So this can be applied to not only Ascent, but many other maps. Definitely, I'll be covering it later in my future guides, but just keep it in mind. Like, try it out in different maps, see where it works, see where it doesn't work for you. And then, reflect and maybe improve it. Maybe you can find a new way to do it that works on certain maps where it wouldn't usually. For the retake, you usually want some people main, some people B, and then sometimes you'll have a lurk through mid. Not frequently. I did mention it earlier, and I actually do like making this play. Just don't be afraid. Like, if you broke the turret, yeah, they know you're here, but just understand it's still good for you to be here. You don't have to instantly fall back. You can still pressure this space. You just have to be more careful because you have to expect that they'll be looking for you, looking for the fight. But if you can clear B main from this angle, it's a lot easier than your team clearing B main from over here. Like, there's corners where they have to go all the way in to clear it, as opposed to you catching them over here. There's way better odds. You can even flash it if you really think they're there. You flash and peek out. And that usually works really good. Now you have control of all this space, and you can retake with your team way easier. You can clear lane, you can flash out sight, and then you can win the round pretty easily. If you're coming out market, I would usually try to path like this. I mean, you want to make sure this is clear, obviously. But once you know that's clear, you can come out here. You want to make sure that's clear without exposing yourself too hard. And then you want to jiggle this because some people are trying to play the drop down logs like I talked about. You want to jiggle this, and when you feel it's safe, come a little farther. Push up here. If you have a flash, you should flash sight. So generally a good rule of thumb is to use your flash for sight. This is a dangerous angle for you, so you want to be careful here. And then you just want to clear all the common spots people play. If you think they're here, you should be really careful and clear it properly. Sometimes people play ratty here. Usually they're going to be hiding backside. A lot of people like this box too, but if you got players stairs, that should be okay as well. And then backside's a little more dangerous because they can wrap you. You just gotta clear it meticulously. You gotta be careful, make sure they don't surprise you. But yeah, coming out, main, already briefly touched on it. Flash out the smoke, clear angles. This one's more dangerous because you have to worry about this. So you want to wait for your team. But flash out, I usually fight this first. They'll usually peek you from over here. And then you want to come up close to this wall, get some more space. And then you want to re-clear the angles after that. And then you'll come up here. They might be playing over here. They might play around this box. And then usually they don't play here, but you could clear that. But usually they'll be up here or something. And then you want to re-clear again in case they're back here. Just go through the angles. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Obviously I can't clear everything. That would take way too long. But this gives you the basics of what it takes to play at a high level. Obviously, I'm not a perfect player, but there are certain things that most high elo players do, and it gets them results. The most important thing is that you understand what good play looks like, and you're able to apply it to your gameplay, but more importantly, you're able to tweak it to get the best results for yourself. And that's where autodidact comes in. I believe in all you guys. Hopefully this gives you a good understanding of the basics of what it takes to play Reyna on Ascent, but honestly just a better understanding of playing Ascent. Hope you enjoyed watching. Peace.